Hello, wonderful viewers. Welcome back to my channel. I am Sarah the Cedar Moonwitch. Today I am here with a VR to JD at Frost and Forest. They put out a video, hashtag seeing deck doubles. I feel like that's it. But it's just looking at decks we have doubles of. So for one reason or another, these are the decks that I have multiples of. Okay, the first deck I want to show off here is the Bohemian Gothic Tarot. This is the special limited edition ginormous deck. So why do I have two of these? Well, because I like the giant size, but it's not really practical for daily use, you know? So I got just the regular size to go with it. I really like this deck. I like how it speaks. I will use this deck, or the regular size version, both of these decks, Bohemian Gothic, year round. I really like it. I like the vibe. And I think it's a great reading deck. So yeah, I don't pigeonhole this into only an October deck. Although, now that we are into October, it seems more appropriate than ever. But this is one of the decks that I have more than one copy of, just because of size difference. Yeah. The Bohemian Gothic. Okay, the next deck that I have multiples of is the Shakespeare Oracle. This was, oh, I got the one that I haven't even touched yet. This one is still in the plastic. Holy heckins, let me go get the one that I can use. Okay, this is the one that I use. Oh my gosh. Why do I have two copies of this, fine viewers? Because I was an English major in college. I was a double major. English was one of them. I love Shakespeare. Always have. When I was young, my mom got me a book, The Collected Works of Shakespeare. And I just devoured it. I loved it. So, why do I have two? Because I love this deck, and I want to be able to use this deck and know that it's okay if it's not in perfect condition, because I have another one that is. Like, I look at this really as a collector's piece, just because I love this deck so much. So yes, I have two copies of the Shakespeare Oracle. Why? Because I love it. Okay, so, the Golden Nostradamus is another one that I have two copies of. Weird story. I bought this deck on eBay. Now it's out of print. At the time it wasn't. So I bought a copy of this on eBay. And when it got to me, it was missing a card. And like this only has 29 cards anyway. So it was significant, and it was a good card too. So I wrote, you know, to the seller, said, can I have the missing card? Well, they didn't have the missing card. They were resellers, you know. So they sent me a whole new copy. Like, they didn't even want the dud copy back. So I have 2 copies of the Golden Nostradamus Tarot, or Oracle. The Golden Nostradamus Oracle. It's out of print now. It was in print. Used to be Lo Scarabeo. Amazing reading deck, FYI. Okay, the next deck that I have multiple copies of is the Guardian of the Night Tarot. This is the first edition, the first indie edition, first print. I've edged it myself. I follow the creator on Instagram, and the socials, you know, and I saw where she was making this, and she showed a progress photo of the Queen of Pentacles, and it was a cow, and I love cows, and I saw that, and I loved that image so much. The Queen and the King of Pentacles are both cows, and I just loved it so much. I had to pre-order it. Like, she wasn't even done with it, but I love this deck. I got another copy. I ordered another deck, and she had extras. So another copy of this came free with, I think it was Grimalkin's Cat Tarot. And then this went to Hay House. So I have a Hay House edition that she signed. That's the only reason I got the Hay House edition, is because she signed it. And I'm a fangirl, so why not? The other copy of the indie I gave away to someone. They actually crocheted this bag for me. So, you know, it's okay. I love this deck. This is like, you know, what was it? The tag, the 10 pieces of my soul decks. This is a soul deck for sure for me. So that is why I have multiples of the Guardian of the Night Tarot. Okay, let's talk about the Gentle Tarot. This is the linen edition, which is still available, but this is my preferred edition just because it's linen and it's easier for me to handle and to shuffle. The first edition that I got was the OG first edition, you know, the big, nice matte with the gold borders. And then I got the pocket edition, which I loved. I took that everywhere with me. But I wound up giving that one away to a newbie, and I thought that the vibe would really fit her. So I gave that edition to her. So I'm left with this and the regular edition. And I'm in no hurry to part with either one, because this is the Gentle Tarot, and I don't use this deck much anymore, but this was really a pivotal deck in my tarot journey, I think. I think this deck made me realize that tarot isn't always roasting me. And that tarot can be gentle. So this deck did play a very important role in my tarot practice. And I am still very thankful to have it. So that's why I have multiple copies of the Gentle Tarot. Oh, how are we even supposed to say this, fine viewers? The Honasa House. I have this edition. This is the 8th edition, the red. But I also have a mini. I have the little mini 6th edition, the little 6th edition. And then I have a jumbo 6th edition. But I wanted, again, I wanted a version that would be like more practical for use. The little Hunasa house I use in specific spreads and for specific purposes where I need to pull a lot of cards. And the jumbo I layer, you know, but again, it's for specific readings. This edition, I don't know, the colorway doesn't always strike my fancy, but I love the artwork. And again, I know the deck. So I just wanted something a little more manageable to use. And that is why I have multiple copies of the Hunasa house. The Mystical Shaman Oracle deck, mass market Hay House deck, I have multiple copies of. This is a powerful deck. It really is. I got this version when it first came out, but recently, I say recently, it could have been a year ago now, but sometime in the not so distant past, they released this in a 10 version, and I am a member of the Hay House Card Deck Club, Card Deck Box Club. I'm a member of their deck club. So they sent this in the 10 version in one of the previous boxes, which I've now put in my purse. This is the little 10 version is now my purse deck. And I have a tarot deck as well in there. But yeah, that is why I have 2 versions of the Mystical Shaman Oracle, which, by the way, this is a great deck. You should really try it, fine viewers. Okay, the Northern Animal Tarot. I have 2 copies of this deck. This one is an older, it's an older copy. It's big. She tried gilding, but then there's one card that's not gilded. It was a second, I guess. I don't care. I love this deck. I just love it. I love the extra cards. And I have two versions of this because the creator came out with what's available now. The regular tarot-sized, but it's linen. It's linen cardstock. And there are, I think that there are some different extra cards in that version. Honestly, I still use this version. I appreciate that the other version is smaller and easier for me to handle, but I've had and worked with this deck for so many years that this is just the version that I go to. But you know what? I'm still happy to have supported an indie creator, so I'm okay having 2 versions of this deck. Northern Animal Tarot. Okay. Coastal Curiosities Oracle deck. This is the OG. The OG, the nice, bright, colorful version. And I have 2 copies of this deck because the creator recently came out with the Naturalist Edition, which is a more muted color palette, and it doesn't have the different suits. So, I have 2 copies of this deck. Honestly, I'm surprised that I don't have the little mini version yet. But now that I have said something... Oh no, impulse. Now that I've said something, I have to. So, this is also a really good deck. Like all of the decks that I have multiples of are decks that I truly love. Really, even the Nostradamus deck, that deck is good. That deck is good. And you never see it around anymore. Anyway, I'm babbling. Coastal Curiosities. I have 2 versions of this. But again, this is just because of the color palette change. Yes. And the Victorian Fairy Tarot. This is the most recent edition. I do believe it's still available. It was on Kickstarter, and you got this big version, and then it also came with a little mini version. So I have 2 copies of this, because that's how it came. Not because I bought them that way. And it's just a size difference. Again, I prefer the full-size version. It's bigger than a standard tarot size. But it lets you really see the image. So, I have 2 copies of the Victorian Fairy Tarot. Okay, the next deck I have multiples of is the Wisdom of Mary Magdalene Oracle. When I was doing my Exploring the Magdalene practice, this was a deck that I used in conjunction with studies. I did tarot spreads for it. And even now, it's a deck that I go to for spiritual guidance. It's beautiful. I love it. It's deep. It is deeply profound. It's not the kind of deck that I would go to just for willy-nilly, you know, kind of reading. It's a very deep deck, and I love that. And I got a second copy because it is a very special deck in my practice. It fills a very specific spiritual role in my life, in my practice. So I wanted to have a second one in case anything ever happened. Yeah. Pretty much. That's it. The Wisdom of Mary Magdalene. Another deck. Desert Illuminations Tarot. This is one of those that was indie, that went mass market. So I have the indie version and the mass market version. I was sent the mass market version for review from US Games. That was awesome. Yeah, so that's why I have 2 versions of this deck. I love this deck. I love the aliens. Oh my gosh, one of my favorite cards. We'll leave it there. So, Desert Illuminations Tarot. The Cirque du Tarot. This is a mass market Llewellyn deck. I was going through a wrap phase, or a reading cloth / wrap phase. I have 2 versions of this deck. This is the one that I use the most. It has been heavily modified. I have two versions of this deck because I ordered a version, this version. It was delivered through Amazon. And then a few days later, I received another copy of this. So, you know, I got a hold of Amazon and I'm like, I need to return an item. They said, why? I said, because this was already delivered. And they told me to keep the extra deck. So I kept it, and it's still wrapped up, just collecting dust, because I used this one. This is a wonderful deck. I really, really love it. It does its own thing. I use it for a specific purpose. Like, it's a solid reader and not going anywhere in my practice. But I wouldn't have bought a second copy. And honestly, I tried to get rid of the second copy that they sent me, but they told me to keep it. So now I have two copies of the Cirque du Tarot. No video would be complete without me showing Oracle of the Living Spell. This is my Oracle deck. I made this, and I do have multiple copies. I have the very first printing that I did for just myself. This is from the first public printing, and I have a copy from the most recent current printing, edition 1.2. Yeah, I have multiple copies of my own deck. Oracle of the Living Spell. We'll leave it on Wish. That's one of my favorite cards. So, fine viewers, there you have it. Those are all of the decks where I have doubles of. Leave a comment, let me know, do you have multiple copies of one deck? If so, why? I will link to JD's video in the description box. Be sure to check that out. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, do all the things that help a small channel grow. Bye.